Defund the Police might be one of the dumbest political campaigns of all time.
So we've been talking about defunding the police.
Suck it up. Defunding the police has to happen.
We propose to redirect over $7 million from the police bureau.
But I'm here to argue in this video that one, it never really happened, especially not on the scale that many people want you to believe. And two, while the slogan was wildly popular, it actually ended up setting the criminal justice reform movement back by at least a decade. I want to be clear, I've worked around really far left people on the criminal justice reform front. I'm talking ACLU, I'm talking Southern Poverty Law Center, and even they were not prison or police abolitionists, right? This was a very fringy far left thing. Most people were incrementalists. They knew that you needed to work with Republicans to get things done, and they were willing to do that. But I think in 2020, the Democrats were so focused on the election, so focused on trying to take out Donald Trump, that you didn't see the pushback that you could have seen or that you should have seen in normal times. Even former cops like Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, who's the architect of many of these policies of the criminal justice system, they don't push back like they typically would because they don't want to isolate these fringy left people, right? They're so focused. And so you start hearing a lot of people, even in mainstream Democratic circles, that are kind of going along with defund the police. And that actually really shot the reform movement in the foot, because we have always been up against a very well-funded subset of public actors who do not want criminal justice reform. I'm talking about police unions. I'm talking about district attorneys associations. I'm talking about the prison industrial complex. These people come to state legislatures and to the Capitol. They come on your taxpayer dollars and time, and they work against common sense reforms because they don't want to lose any power. They don't want more accountability for their actions, especially when they're in the wrong. They don't want more transparency, and they certainly don't want to lose the piggy bank that is at their disposal right now because of the status quo. They always come in and try to fearmonger people, and especially fearmonger lawmakers, and say, if you do this, they're going to then want this other extreme thing over here. When Defund the Police took off, they were able to see, cat's out of the bag, right? And so that in and of itself was especially problematic for people who were genuinely trying to pass common sense, obvious, very popular policies. And then on the tail end of that, you have a spike in crime. And I want to be clear, the crime increase that occurred in 2020 and 2021, and even part of 2022, is far more nuanced than you're going to hear from the mainstream media. So during the pandemic, you did see violent crime that went up in some areas, while you had things like burglaries and robberies that went down. Total arrests nationwide plummeted 24% in 2020. So there was some fishy things going on, right? I want to be repetitive here. Crime is nuanced. There's never an instance where anybody who actually knows how to read data would try to pin and point it on one thing. There are a lot of elements that go into this. This is a massive societal problem, but it certainly was not because police had been defunded, even though that's what people thought, right? They were able to say, oh, look, they defunded the police and now this is what is happening. Instead of saying, why did police quit arresting people? I want to, squash this. There's still a lot of people that believe the police were defunded. A study of over 400 American cities actually found, when looking at their budgets over the past 5 years, police departments got the same average cut of the city budgets in 2021 as they did in previous years. Even in the most extreme, loud, progressive cities that said they were going to defund their police, it did not happen. Seattle cut their police budget by 11% in 2021. They still allocated $360 million for their police department budget that year. That's a lot. In Minneapolis, they had initially supported police abolition, but when it came to a vote, the city voted it down 56% to 44%. That department received only a 14.7% decrease in 2021, but recovered almost all of it by 2022. And in fact, other studies have looked at what happened during the course of all this, and they found that not only were the police not defunded, but their unions actually used the defund the police movement to argue for pay increases that they got in many places. So in reality, a correct reading of the data would indicate that crime increased in part because police intentionally refused to do their jobs in the face of accountability and criticism, and that they pulled back and stopped arresting people and then used the spike in crime to push back against reforms that would have had them be more accountable and have more transparency and actually got more money for it. The data also shows that really things like school closures and lockdowns and the economic uncertainties of pandemic policies are really what contributed to crime taking off, which is just a tremendous missed opportunity by the right to jump on the fact that the left perpetrated all of these policies against us under the pandemic, but they kind of skipped over that for whatever reason and went right back to defund the police. The truth is that the right had it right from the very beginning. We need a justice system that focuses our resources on actual crimes. We're still really bad at solving actual crimes. We need one that intervenes swiftly to actually prevent violence and get victims the closure and the restitution that they need when violence does occur. And we need to ensure that the people that we are employing to carry out justice actually have accountability and transparency and act ethically and treat all Americans equally. This is a common sense value statement for anyone who believes in limited government and individual liberty. This is what our Constitution is supposed to ensure. So, in conclusion, I want to say that I think defund the police was one of the dumbest slogans I've ever heard, but it would be even dumber for us to fall for the people who want to fearmonger off of these things, who have a vested interest in keeping the status quo in place. We need to get back to actually putting our limited government and individual liberty principles into play and make sure that we are no longer incarcerating people who have not committed actual crimes and that we are not preventing people from reentering society. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Once again, I'm Hannah Cox with Base Politics. If you like this content, be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment, and most importantly, be sure to let us know your thoughts. Can't wait to see them.